and welcome back to lesson 3, week 3 of the Toefl Beginner Online English courses. My name is Mr. Nicky. For today's class, you are going to need 2 textbooks, the Developing Skills for Reading textbook, and we're going to be continuing the work from last week. So that's pages 33 to 38. And you're also going to need the Developing Skills for Writing book, and we're looking at pages 573 to 575. If you don't have the books, don't panic. All of the information you will need is included in the presentation. We're going to go through the reading together. I'll be giving answers, giving you periods to practice speaking as well. At the end, I'll be doing the writing, and that's to be completed in your own time and then sent to your regular English teacher. Okay, so let's get started. The objectives today are to be able to identify the topic in a variety of texts. Again, we're going to be looking at 5 of these from your reading book. Second is to use the context to understand the meaning of a highlighted sentence. So we're going to use the text that's available, the wider text, to infer meaning on the highlighted sentence. And the last one is to paraphrase text without changing the meaning. So we're going to be finding words synonymous with those that are used. There's going to be some tricky questions here. A lot of sentences with very, very similar meaning, just very sort of subtle differences and nuance. So really try and focus on those, and we'll see if you are able to do that. So we're going to start on page 34, and the text is all about demonstration. Before we read, there are 5 vocab points that we should have a look at. The first is on the market. Okay, this is a phrase which basically means available to buy. So we often talk about games consoles before they come out. They're advertised and everybody knows they're coming, and you can pre-order them before they are on the market or before they are available to buy. Okay, once they've been released, then they are on the market and they are readily available to buy. Word number 2 is a demonstration. This is a small exhibition showing how something works. You'll often see these in shopping centers, shopping malls. You see the big kind of comfortable chairs that have the massage back, and they hold your phone for you and all these sorts of things. And there will be people there showing you how to use these properly. That would be a demonstration. We also get demonstrations in supermarkets sometimes, where certain products have people there giving you little bits to try, little tasters. That would also be a demonstration of a product. Word number 3 there, accustomed to, familiar with, used to, or comfortable with. Again, I'm going to talk about food with this one. Nutritionists say that any food, even if you don't like it, you really hate it, if you eat it 14 times within a 30-day period, your body will learn to like it. You will like it by the end of that 30-day period. I didn't believe this, and I gave it a go. I turned vegan about a year ago, and I hated mushrooms. The texture, horrible. But I ate it 14 times in 30 days, and by the end of the month, I love mushrooms, and I now eat them just about every day. I became accustomed to mushrooms, you might say. Number 4, to verify something or to check that it is true or to confirm. If you go and apply for a job, you need to take a CV with you, and this is where you basically tell your employer all about yourself. Tell them that you're passionate about something, that you love it, that you're committed, that you turn up to work on time, all of these things. Now, the employer won't just necessarily believe this. They might have to check to confirm it's true. So they might phone your references and ask about how you behaved in your previous job to verify everything that you say in your CV. The final word is to educate, to teach, to give knowledge to, or to build knowledge with somebody. Should all be comfortable with what that means. All right, so looking at the text, I'm going to read it through one time first. Please, once I've finished reading, read through it yourself. Don't look at the questions just yet. You might want to cover those up, much like last week. Make this as much like it would be in an exam as possible. Okay. With the great number of products on the market, it is often necessary to go beyond simple presentation of a product in marketing. A product, even one that has excellent packaging, may get lost on the shelf among the other products. Therefore, Some marketers use personal demonstrations in addition to traditional presentation methods. Demonstrations can use various methods. They may try to get their customers accustomed to new features of an improved product. They may try to verify claims about a product. They may simply educate customers about a new product. Whatever methods a demonstration uses, the goal is the same, to interest customers in the product. Okay, so I would suggest giving this a read through. There are a couple of tricky little phrases in there to read, actually. We had, in addition to traditional presentation methods, that addition and traditional is quite a tricky sound next to each other. I would maybe practice that a few times. And further down, we also had, they may try to get customers accustomed. Again, very similar sounds repeated there, kind of tongue twister effect. So be careful when you're reading this. Pause the video now and have a go. When you restart the video, I'll have the questions on the next slide for you to complete. Okay, here are the questions. Again, please pause the video for as long as you need. You can flick back and forwards between this and the previous slide to check the text. And again, once you restart the video, I will give the answers. Okay, so the answers, number one, it says, according to the reading, which of the following is not mentioned as being in a demonstration? The answer you should have got there is C, product packaging. Question number two, the word personal in the passage is closest in meaning to one-to-one or one-on-one. Okay? We have lessons in school classes where you have a whole group of people, a whole class of students. If you do private lessons, you might do personal lessons. These would be one-to-one with a tutor. Question three, which of the following best states the essential information in the highlighted sentence in the passage? Now, incorrect choices are very, very similar. They change the meaning slightly, but they either leave out some important information or they alter it in a subtle way. So do be a little bit careful when you read through these. Don't just read one and assume it's that because it's very close. Make sure you read them all. The correct answer that you should have got was C. Although a product might be in a good package, customers might not notice it. Now, question four asked you to find the paraphrase of a product may get lost in the original text. If you didn't put answer C in question three, this you may have gone a little bit wrong here because we're also using that same answer, and it was customers might not notice it. A product may get lost means customers might not notice it. It just disappears into the background. Okay, hopefully you did all right there. Give yourself a score for those answers if you want, out of 4. And we're going to move forward to text number 2. Okay, text number 2 is about South America. 5 vocab words again. I think these are relatively easy ones. I think we might know most of these. A continent is one of the 7 largest areas of land on Earth. Asia is the continent that we are currently in. I am originally from Europe. That's another continent. We also have North America, South America, etc. Word number 2, inhabitant. A resident or a person who lives in a place. Now, an inhabitant does not necessarily have to be from the country that they are residing in. So, for example, we are all inhabitants of Vietnam. You are Vietnamese, you are native inhabitants. I am a non-native inhabitant. Word number 3 is span, which means to go across or extend, or kind of like to include. From one place to another, we would call it a span. Talk about hand span, goes from my finger to my finger. It's span, it goes all the way across. If you're talking about birds, we often talk about a wingspan, how wide they are. Okay, so it's going all the way across. Word number 4 is percent. I'm sure you see this around lots. We often use it when we're shopping. We see 50% off, 20% off. Okay. Language, number 5. I would really hope I don't need to find this one for you. A language, a system of human speech and written words that people use to communicate with each other. In fact, not just only human speech, sign language would also be considered a language if we were being completely accurate there. All right, so we're going to do this the same way as previously. I'm going to read through the text. Please listen if there are any words that you're kind of surprised about the way I've pronounced it. Maybe give that a highlight, listen back, practice it a few times. Once I've finished reading, again, pause the video, practice it verbally, please. South America is a large continent with few inhabitants. It spans from Venezuela in the north to Argentina in the south. In total, there are 13 countries on this continent. 12% of the land on Earth is in South America. However, only 5% of the world's population lives on this continent. The main language in South America is Spanish. Spanish is spoken in every South American country except Brazil. Brazilians speak Portuguese. The predominant religion in South America is Catholicism. In fact, Brazil has the largest number of Catholics in the world. Okay, one pronunciation point there. You'll see in the second to last line, the penultimate line, we've got Catholics, which is for the people involved in the religion, and Catholicism for the religion. There's a big difference there on the letter O when we pronounce it. In Catholicism, I say the O, Catholicism. When I say Catholic, it kind of becomes silent. I wouldn't say Catholic, it's just Catholics. Okay, so we sort of drop the O when we're on that second word. So just be careful of that as you're reading through. Pause the video now and give it a go yourself, please. Okay, so we're going to go through to the questions for passage 2. Please pause the video again, have a look at these. Again, you can scroll forwards and backwards to see the previous slide to help you out if you don't have the book in front of you. All right, answers for question 1. According to the reading, how many countries are there in South America? Nice, easy one there for us. It was 13, which is option C. You have to tell me for number 2, the word closest in meaning to predominant. And the correct answer there would have been A, which is most common. Question 3, you have 4 sentences. Which of them best states the essential information in the highlighted sentence within the passage? Was it A, that most Portuguese people are Catholic? Was it B, that Portuguese Catholics are settled in Brazil? Was it C, that Catholicism is the most widespread religion in South America? Or was it D, that most other religions in South America dominate Catholicism? The correct answer there would have been C. Catholicism is the most widespread religion in South America. Question 4 at the bottom, which of the following best states the purpose of the passage? So we're on the overall passage now, not just the highlighted sentence, and why. So was it A, to give a geographic overview of the continent, or was it B, to provide general information related to South America? The answer should have been B, to provide general information related to South America. You then had to justify why this was, and I would say there were a lot of points there, language and religion, which are not specifically tied to geography, which would relate more to the environment and the climate of the continent. Again, give yourself a score out of 4 there. Hopefully we're all on track and doing well so far. We're going to move on to number 3. This is a picture. I very much like this picture. If you've not seen that before, that's George W. Bush, who was the president of America, or of the United States of America, before Barack Obama. Compared to Trump, he's considered extremely intelligent. But at the time, he was considered sort of a little bit of a clown. He often made mistakes and did some silly things. And here he was at a reading hour at school. And I don't know if you can see there, but he spent the whole time with the book upside down, clearly not reading it correctly. Anyway, the vocab that we need to look at for this text: academic, related to school, college, or I would actually just say related to education, academia. Number 2, concentration is the act of concentrating or focusing. Number 3, alertness is being ready to respond to something quickly, being kind of in a condition of very awakeness. Number 4, actively being engaged in an activity, actually expressing actions, doing something. And the last one is physically, which is using the body to do something rather than the mind. The mind there, of course, would be mentally, physically and mentally. Okay, so I will read this through again. Listen to pronunciation. You're going to have another go at this yourself in a moment. Students read for a variety of reasons, but probably the most important reason students read is to gain academic knowledge. Their goal is to learn and remember what they read. To be successful, they must develop certain reading skills. Successful readers identify and mark important information. There are a number of reasons why marking is a good reading habit. First, it increases concentration and alertness. I do beg your pardon. Second, it improves reading ability. While marking, readers are actively searching for the key information. Finally, it helps readers remember what they have read. They are putting the information into memory when they physically circle, underline, or mark it in some way. Readers are making the information their own. The other reason, or the other thing, sorry, that you need to be wary of is read and read. Obviously, these are spelt the same, but pronounced differently. So be aware of the tense that the sentence is in, so that you are using the correct pronunciation for read and read. Okay, so pause the video now, please, and have a go at that. Okay, as we restart, I'm going to put the questions on the board for you. Please answer those, and in a moment, I will go through answers again. Okay, so question number 1. Which of the following is true of readers who are reading to gain academic knowledge? The correct answer you should have got there is B. Their goal is to learn and remember the materials they are reading. There is no point reading it if you don't remember it. Word number 2. The word goal in the passage is closest in meaning to desire. Question number 3. Which of the following best states the essential information in the highlighted sentence in the passage? Okay, just like question 3 from the other 2. We should have got there sentence A. Readers look for keywords or phrases to mark. Now, question 4, you had to look back at question 3 and write the words from the highlighted sentence and the words for the correct answer that are synonyms. So if you didn't get the correct sentence in the answer, which was A, please pause the video again, look at sentence A, and try and match the synonymous words with the highlighted sentence from the passage. If you got A correct, then we can go straight ahead. The words or phrases that were the same, we had searching, is synonymous with look, and we had information, which is synonymous with words and phrases. Okay, those are the 2 that I got there for you. Hopefully we are all together now. 12 out of 12 would be brilliant. If not, don't worry, I'm sure you're doing well enough. We're going to move on to number 4. Okay, and this text is all about starting a business. The 5 vocab words we have: advantage, I'm sure you've heard that before, a benefit, a reason why it would be good to do something. We sometimes call this a pro. We then have the antonym of this, the opposite, which is disadvantage, a reason why it would be bad to do something, and this is synonymous with a con. Pros and cons, advantages and disadvantages. You may hear both of those, especially when we start doing sort of analyses work. We're often talking about pros and cons, advantages and disadvantages of something. Word number 3, opportunity, is a chance. Word number 4, responsible, to be accountable for something and to be required to accept responsibility. So if something goes wrong, it is your fault. It is your problem. Okay? As teachers, we're responsible for your learning. If you don't learn and you do very badly in the exams, that's our responsibility as teachers. We should have done better. Okay, word number 5 is to contemplate. To contemplate means to consider or to think about. You often see people sort of staring off into the distance, thinking about things they might be contemplating. All right, so I'm going to read through this again. Listen to pronunciation. If there are any words you're surprised about the way that I say them, or if you've heard them pronounced differently, highlight them. You can practice these when I give you the opportunity to pause the video. So, owning a business is the dream of many people. Quite often, entrepreneurs turn their hobbies into their business. When considering opening a small business, it is important for a person to look at both the advantages and the disadvantages. Probably the greatest advantage is the opportunity to be responsible for one's own success. However, the opposite is also true. If one's business fails, that person is totally responsible. A person could also make a lot of money in his or her own business. There could be times, however, when a small business owner regrets not having a regular pay cut or vacation. When deciding if a small business ownership is for him or her, a person should contemplate both the advantages and the disadvantages with care. Okay, so things to be careful of in that passage of text. In line 2, the word entrepreneurs. Okay, this is a word that English has stolen from the French. It's got that kind of interesting spelling and pronunciation. Entrepreneur. At the end of the word there, mieux. You might want to practice that a few times. Entrepreneur. Okay, anyway, pause the video now, read through it for yourself, give it a go. When you restart, we'll do the questions on the next slide. Okay, so again, pause the video, please, work through these, and I will give the answers for you in just a moment. Okay, question 1. According to the passage, what is often turned into a small business? The correct answer there would be a hobby. Word number 2. The word entrepreneurs in the passage is closest in meaning to A, people starting a business. Word number 3, the same as the previous questions. Which of the following sentences best states the essential information in the highlighted sentence in the passage? Was it A, that business people should think about opening a small business? Was it B, people should think about the good and bad parts of their hobbies? Was it C, possible successes and failures should be factored into any decision about starting a business? Or was it D, vacation time and paychecks should be considered before opening a small business? The correct answer there would be C, possible successes and failures should be factored into any decision about starting a business. Okay, question 4. Which of the following best states the purpose of the second paragraph and why? So we're looking below the highlighted sentence of the second paragraph. What was the purpose? Was it A, to contrast the pros and cons of owning a business? Was it B, to warn about the disadvantages of owning a business? You also had to justify this and say why. The answer you should have got was A. It was to contrast the pros and cons. It also had positive information in there, which is why it has to include pros. In B, it says just to warn about disadvantages. So it has no mention there of the positive things. So that would be your justification for choosing A. All right, well done. We have got one final text to do. We are almost finished with the reading. So, vocabulary one more time. Spectacular, very noticeable, sensational, something that people want to watch. Fireworks displays, for example, might be described as spectacular. It's unusual, it's amazing, it's beautiful. People want to see it. It is spectacular. Word number 2, discharge or discharge. A pouring forth, an emission, or ejection. We often say if you're in hospital and then you leave hospital, you are discharged, you are emitted, you are ejected, you are allowed to leave. When talking about an explosive device as well, like a bomb or something, we might use the word discharge. That means when it emits or when it ejects, when it explodes. would be when the explosive discharges. This is one of those words where Americans and British people pronounce it very differently. So if your pronunciation, if you've heard American people say this word before, it might be very different to the way I'm saying it. It's absolutely fine. You can pronounce it whichever way suits your accent best, or whichever way you prefer. So word number 3 is expand, to become larger or wider. We might say if somebody over this isolation period has been eating a lot and has got a little bit fat, we might say they've expanded. They've become larger, wider, bigger, fatter. Expand. Number 4 is to contract. This is to become smaller or narrower. When we use muscles, we often talk about the word contract. Okay, if we have a muscle here and we make it smaller, this will be contracted. It's smaller, it's longer, it's shorter. People who have asthma as an illness, when their trachea contracts, it gets smaller, makes it harder to breathe. And I believe that's also one of the symptoms of COVID-19, interestingly. So it might be a word that you need to use a lot in the future. Final word, instantly, means right away, without a gap in time. Synonymous as well with something like immediately, instantly, immediately. That would also work. Okay, I'm going to read through it. Please listen to pronunciation. You can have a go yourself in a moment. Thunderstorms are produced during a cold front. They're quick, usually lasting an hour or less. The lightning is often considered the most spectacular part of the storm. It's a discharge of electricity between clouds or between clouds and the ground. We know that where there is lightning, there is also thunder. In fact, it is the lightning that produces the thunder. More specifically, production of thunder involves heating and cooling air quickly. When lightning occurs, it instantly heats the air around it. The hot air expands quickly. After the lightning disappears, the air cools and contracts. And this process of expansion and contraction produces sound waves that we hear as thunder. Okay, so have a read through yourself there, and in a moment I will pass on to the next slide for the question. Okay, so please pause the video to answer the questions on screen. When you have completed those, you can restart the video and I'll give you the answers. Number 1, according to the passage, which of the following is true of thunder? The answer was B. It is produced by lightning. Okay, you can see that in the second line of paragraph 2. It is thunder, therefore, is produced by lightning. Number 2, which of the following could best replace the word occurs as it is used in the passage? The answer there would be D, happens. Number 3, same as before, which of these sentences is synonymous with the highlighted sentence in the passage? Is it A, that thunder is a specific result of hot air meeting cold air quickly? Is it B, air heating and cooling quickly involves the production of thunder? Is it C, to be more specific, we should say that thunder rapidly mixes hot and cold air? Or is it D, to be precise, thunder is caused by air expanding and contracting? Correct answer, A. Thunder is a specific result of hot air meeting cold air quickly. In number 4, you had to justify your answer to question 3. Explain how you found the right answer or the words that gave a clue to the answer. So there are a bunch of words in there. The concepts we were talking about, speed, we were talking about the reaction, the specificity, and then also the production or the product, which is the result. Okay, so all of the key components of the sentence that was highlighted were repeated in A. And that is it for our reading and speaking and bits and pieces. So, have you successfully identified the topic in a variety of texts? Hopefully the answer is yes. Were you able to use the context, the wider context of the paragraph or the passage to understand the meaning of the highlighted sentence? Again, I sincerely hope the answer to that is yes. If not, please go back through, have another try. And lastly, were you able to paraphrase the text or recognize the paraphrased text without changing the meaning of it? Again, I very much hope so. Okay, to finish off, I'm just going to introduce the writing topic to you this week. You're not going to be sent Google Documents, whatever it is, how that works. I'm going to be giving this to you. However, you do need to submit this to your regular English teacher, please. So, writing. We are looking at pages 573 to 577 in your Developing Skills for Writing textbook, and that is passage number 4. So this starts off by saying, some people insist that reading non-fiction books is educational, whereas reading fiction books is a waste of time. What have you learned from fiction and non-fiction books? Which do you think has helped you more? And use specific reasons and details to support your answer. Now, if you have the book, there are a couple of extra steps that you can go through to help you with writing this passage. For example, they give you an introduction and they give you a conclusion. If you are going to do this using the book, though, please paraphrase those sections, practice what we just spoke about in reading so that you're not just copying that. Structure-wise, so you could focus on the point of your text being that reading non-fiction books will allow you to describe a broad range of topics with others. The topic of your text could also be non-fiction books will never go out of style. Their value will last for generations. There's a third option there. I would maybe try and write down what the purpose of your text is going to be in there. It's often good to write down the purpose in a single sentence before embarking on the writing, as it will keep you focused and precise onto your point or your message. Okay, so maybe pause and write that now, actually. Okay, so if you've got your purpose, now we're going to go through the essay structure. I wanted to do this too early. I do beg your pardon for that little mistake. So, firstly, an introduction. Again, if you've got the book, you can use that to help you. Make sure that the sentence you just wrote on the last slide is explained in it. Okay, we want to really set out the purpose of the essay in the introduction. Second, I would suggest splitting paragraph 2 and 3 into non-fiction and fiction, and talk about the advantages and disadvantages of each. You should be objective here. You don't need to be giving your opinion until the conclusion. Here you are giving the facts or the information as it is widely known or widely considered. Finally, in the last one, you're going to do your conclusion. So this is where you're going to wrap up, summarize the previous 2 passages, and give your opinion at the end. Personally, I think fiction is just as valuable as non-fiction, etc., etc. Okay, and that will be how you finish off. Again, when you finish that, please send it through to your teacher the word count, which should be between 250 and 300 words. This does not need to be a massive, massive essay, okay? Just enough to answer the question. Thank you for your attention. Again, I hope you found that useful, and I will see you again next week. Goodbye.